wants another defensive signing. Dest arrives in Barcelona. Dier helps Spurs flush Chelsea out of the cup. A transfer roundup and today's great debate all coming up in the next few minutes. As I am your host, Matt Froelich. You are the OneFootballers, and this is the Daily News. First off, Pep Guardiola wants to spend more money on another defender, and I know what you're thinking. They've literally just announced Ruben Dias yesterday for around £65 million. Yes, they have brought in the Benfica centre-half. Yes, it has improved Manchester City's defence. And yes, Guardiola still needs another left-back. Now, I spoke about Benjamin Mendy not having the greatest of games on the weekend, but in all honesty, he's injured most of the time. And when he comes back into the squad, sometimes his performances are a bit iffy. So, apparently, the manager is looking at two options to replace him. The first is David Alaba. He'd be a fantastic signing, although his wages are absolutely astronomical. He's only got 1 year left on his Bayern Munich contract, so potentially he could be available for quite a low amount of money, certainly when it comes to paying the club. But, as I just mentioned, when it comes to the contract, over like 400k a week. That is going to be an insane amount of money. Having said that, David Alaba is probably worth it. On the flip side, they could go for the cheaper option, which is around £23 million to Ajax for their defender, Nicola Tagliafico. He's been linked with so many clubs in the last year and a half, ever since Ajax's amazing Champions League run. I'm still surprised he's at the club. His wages obviously would literally be like less than a half of Alaba's, so I can actually see this one being quite a good deal. But then again, he's obviously not as good as David Alaba. Talking of fullbacks though, and we move on to Barcelona, who are very close to bringing in a new fullback of their own. Nelson Semedo is out of the club and has gone to Wolves, so Sergiño Dest is the man who's coming in from Ajax. They could be losing Dest and Tagliafico within the space of the same week. Now, last week we did mention that little Bayern Munich were favourites to sign Dest because, well, that's the information we had at the time. However, things have changed because that happens very regularly in the football transfer market. Anyway, Dest has arrived in Barcelona and will sign a 5-year deal to become Ronald Koeman's first Dutch signing at the club. It's a pretty good deal for them, but what it's meant for Bayern Munich is that they're still in the market for a right back, and apparently, despite the fact that Max Aaron's name has been linked all summer, they may have turned their attentions to Tariq Lamptey. He's had a pretty good start to the season at Brighton, and on one hand, I'd say there's no way that a good start to the season, a good like 2 or 3 games, is enough for Lamptey to warrant a move from Brighton to Bayern Munich. Having said that, at 19 years old, with plenty of room to develop, he's going to get better at Bayern. It's probably quite a good deal for them, as he's going to cost around 20 to 25 million, and Brighton getting 25 million for a 19-year-old right back is also a very good deal. It means it would leave them a little bit short in that position with just 5 days to go until the transfer window shuts, but I guess money talks. Moving on though, and away from the transfer market to last night's League Cup action, where Spurs dumped Chelsea out of the cup. Mourinho's 4th attempt at beating Lampard, he finally got one over on his former player. And well, it was a rather interesting game. The game started with Spurs playing with no striker and Jose Mourinho saying they're not prioritising the League Cup, and a shocking 45 minutes for Tottenham. The second half, they were brilliant. Much better than Chelsea, deserved their equaliser. Jose Reguilon had a terrible start with a mistake, giving the ball away for Chelsea's goal, then had a brilliant second half and an assist, and then eventually Tottenham won 5-4 on penalty, something Spurs fans aren't exactly used to seeing. But the big talking point was Eric Dier running off the pitch halfway through the second half because he needed the loo. Jose Mourinho followed him, got him back out of the toilet, he came back onto the pitch, had a pretty solid rest of the game, and then scored the first penalty for Spurs. I mean, this is the kind of comedy that we've come to see at Spurs over the last few years, and if there ever was a reason to have a second season of All or Nothing, the Amazon documentary, last night's shenanigans were definitely it. Next up then, and a quick roundup of the rest of the day's transfer news and other news that you might have missed. And Bayer Leverkusen have made a £9 million offer for Arsenal defender Sead Kolasinac to bring him back to the Bundesliga. Leicester's £40 million bid for Saint Etienne's Wesley Fofana has been accepted. Referees are told to be a little more lenient when it comes to deciding whether a handball is a penalty or not a penalty after that absolute farce at the weekend. And those of you who want a Jadon Sancho update, he's still not moving to Manchester United. Yesterday, apparently a £91.3 million bid was rejected, and Dortmund said, we still want the 108 or 9 million pounds, 120 million euros that it is, to release him from the club. Dortmund have held this stance for the last few months. I don't know why the rumour mill keeps on spinning round and round. Dortmund want this much, Manchester United aren't willing to pay that much, and by going back every time with a lower bidder getting it rejected, just makes themselves look even more desperate and even more stupid. But on top of this, to be fair, the talks with Alex Telles are still continuing with Porto, and it looks like they may have a new left back before the end of the transfer window. Lastly then, we come to this week's great debate. This is where the guys in the OneFootball newsroom pose a question for all of you guys. You can find my answer and their answer, that was like the title that was, in the relevant article in the OneFootball app. But for the comment section down below, we want to know which one transfer do you want to see before the deadline comes around. Of course, it could be a transfer for your club or just a random transfer that you think would be really cool if it happened. For me, it's been the same for 2 years for Tottenham. Sign a backup striker. It is so needed that even, as I mentioned before, Mourinho starting games without a recognised frontman. Utterly ridiculous that they still don't have a backup. Anyway, especially with Son injured, that's even worse. I don't care who it is, whether it's like a Seferovic, Weghorst, Bastos, whoever, just not Christian Benteke, please. Anyone else, just sign them up. A striker is definitely needed, especially with so many fixtures and their progression through, most likely, to the next round of the Europa League and, of course, the next round of the League Cup as well. So there you have it. There is the great debate for this week. You guys let me know your answers in the comments section below. Smash the like button. Of course, let me know your thoughts on the rest of today's daily news. Whilst you're at it, you can also click here or here to check out all of the other videos we've got going on OneFootball. But until next time, I will see you guys later.